Good afternoon and a very warm welcome from Northern Ballet to everybody joining us this afternoon. My name is Pippa Moore and I'm the company's Artistic and Learning Assistant. For the next 30 minutes we will live stream rehearsals of The Little Mermaid from our base here in Leeds, and I'll be on hand to guide you through what is happening in the studio today. Leading the rehearsal today we have our former artistic director, Dave Nixon, and also in the room our current artistic director, Federico Bonelli, and our rehearsal directors as well. The dancers must keep moving continuously and fluidly because nothing is completely still under the water. So their running and swaying is actually the constant motion of the tide. The use of level also helps create this different world. The idea of travelling up to the surface or down to the seabed can be seen in many impressive lifts. The Little Mermaid is a classical ballet with the women mostly in point shoes, except for these water scenes where the flat shoes were deemed more appropriate for the lyrical, more contemporary movements. So our Sea Lord today is Lear, called Lear, and he is played by Matthew Topless, who is an ex-soloist with Northern Ballet. He's guesting currently, and is actually a graduate of our CAT program in the Academy, and he danced with Northern Ballet for 9 years. So in this underwater world, which is a harmonious they pose. And he's just been joined by two of the sisters of the Little Mermaid, and they're danced by Rachel Gillespie and Dominique LaRose, who are both first soloists. And this is the song of the Little Mermaid, Marilla, who is danced today by Abigail Prudames. Abigail is a premier dancer, and she is from Harrogate in North Yorkshire and joined Northern Ballet in 2011. So the Little Mermaid, Marilla, is the youngest of the three sisters. And she has a best friend, a seahorse called Dillian. And today that's danced by Kevin Pung. Kevin is a leading soloist and is from France. He joined Northern Ballet in 2012. So Dillian and Marilla have this very playful relationship, and you'll notice these quirky bobbing movements that he has with his palms together that accentuate his unusual way of moving. So our production of The Little Mermaid premiered in 2017, and now after a few years' rest, this beautiful production has been revived for this autumn's tour. The ballet is based on the original fairy tale written by Hans Christian Andersen in 1837. The choreography and costume design is also by Northern Ballet's former artistic director, David Nixon, CBE. The set design is by Kimi Nakano, and the music is composed by Sally Beamish. On the piano today we have Andrew Dunlop, and conducting is our guest conductor, Daniel Parkinson. So the costumes you see today are actually just the rehearsal costumes, and these are not the ones used for performance. These are made only to rehearse in when the costumes are imperative to the movements of the choreography. And as you can see, especially this is the case with the mermaid tails. It's almost like having an extra person to consider. So that's why it's so important to wear them from the beginning of the process. So the two older sisters are about to swim up to the surface and are telling Marilla that she's too young at the moment to join them. So the set is by Kimi Nakano and is really quite minimal but very atmospheric. These two large curved screens are the moving pieces of scenery, and we rehearse with them in the studio because the dancers move and reconfigure them throughout the performance as part of the choreography. So practicing and navigating with these screens is vital. One side looks like water, portrayed by abstract artwork on plastic with a mirror behind it, which gives us a sense of being underwater. And with the stage lighting, this creates a real mystical and light reflective, shadowy world. The older sisters return from being up at the surface, and they return with trinkets that they found, including a locket, which they actually discard. We're at that point in rehearsals where we have about 4 weeks left before the first performance in Sheffield, and we're slowly piecing the scenes together now, making sure everybody knows their roles as they rotate between various casts as well, and everybody learns more than one part, which not only spreads out the workload over the tour, but covers against injuries and also gives opportunities for the younger dancers to develop their skill and artistry. Although all the steps have been taught, the main characters will have been rehearsing separately from the corps de ballet in order to make the best use of time. So the focus now in these rehearsals is to really bring everything together. So Marilla retrieves the discarded locket and opens it to discover a picture of a man who's actually Prince Adair. She decides she'd love to swim to the surface and try and find him. So the other side of these screens look like rugged white cliffs, and these are the solid rock-like walls that represent land. Also, when they're placed together, they represent the prince's ship. The dancers are trying to achieve seamless transitions with these screens, and they also create passages for each other to vanish and reappear through, creating almost like little whirlpools or caves that appear. The production is actually the same as the 2017 production, but we have new dancers who've joined the company since then, replacing those who've left or retired from performing, as I did myself in 2019. But from the original creative cast, we, as I said, have Abigail Prudames and Joseph Taylor, who will revive the title roles of the Little Mermaid and Prince Adair, respectively. Kevin Pung, who also created the role of Dillian the seahorse, will also perform this role again. Originally, this was a male role only, but interestingly, this season we have 2 women who will also dance this part. The music by Sally Beamish is actually very much influenced by Scottish folk music. And for The Little Mermaid, she also wanted to reference mythical creatures in the score. The idea of the Sea Lord Lear is from Celtic mythology, and in fact all the characters' names are Celtic and have meaning. Marilla, our Little Mermaid, for example, means shining sea. Although this was Sally Beamish's first time composing music for Northern Ballet, she's always loved creating music for storytelling. And in the score, certain characters are represented by certain instruments. Marilla, for example, is always accompanied by a harp. As her voice and losing it is so important to the story, the composer chose to use a pre-recorded human voice in some of the sections. So Marilla has decided to swim up to the surface to try and find Prince Adair. And he appears on his ship with his group of sailors. Our senior deputy stage manager, Chunyan Chia, is just assisting in rehearsals, and stage management really make the show happen from behind the scenes. They're the eyes, ears and hands of backstage, relaying all the technical cues to the crew and continuously monitoring all the action throughout every performance. So they really know the show inside out. So The Little Mermaid is touring from the 22nd of September to the end of October to Sheffield, Belfast, Southampton and Newcastle. All the dates are available on our website, www.northernballet.com, including all the details of our accessible performances that are audio described by myself every Saturday matinee. So there's really plenty to enjoy from Northern Ballet this season, whether you catch a performance of The Little Mermaid on tour or locally here in Leeds. We have our 3 short ballets premiering at the Leeds Playhouse next month, and then our children's ballet, The Ugly Duckling, followed by the Christmas favourite, The Nutcracker. There's also an exciting selection of dance films on our digital platform, so keep enjoying dance. And on behalf of everyone here at Northern Ballet, thank you for joining us today. Goodbye.